everyone. How are you? How are you? Good to see everyone. My name is Anna. I'm the creator here on Savouring the Indo-Caribbean, and I'm so excited for everyone to join us tonight. We've been doing a holiday wind down series with Renee from Anugraha Yoga TT, and this is actually our third live. And we've been doing a series focused on wellness. I think it's really important, especially now with all the recent news on lockdowns. I think it's really important that we take care of ourselves. So it's been a great pleasure actually to host these every Monday. And if you haven't watched the other two sessions, we started one with the intro to meditation and the meaning of yoga. We also did a session on mindful eating and cooking. So those sessions are up for anyone to enjoy. And so today we're going to be having a session on the intro to pranayama. So pranayama is breath work, and it's been a really great tool personally for me to tap into during these really uncertain times. I started really focusing on my wellness maybe two and a half years ago, and pranayama was one of the tools that I sort of introduced later on into my wellness journey, and it's been quite revolutionizing for me to tap into and use when in my daily practice. So I'm really excited to have Renee join us and to give us a little bit more about pranayama, the benefits, how to incorporate it into our wellness practice and our everyday routines. And I would love to invite anyone who's joining us to, if it's accessible to you, to find a place that's comfortable, that's quiet. We're also going to be doing a centering practice and a short meditation at the end. And so it's a great time to sort of find some solitude or invite the people around you to join us in as well. It's a really great family session too, and it's great to introduce these types of tools to our children at a younger age. So if your family's around, have them join in, and if you can, if it's accessible to you, to find a comfortable space, we highly suggest it as well. So with that being said, I will invite Renee on to the live. Let's find her here and do that and hope that it works.
I am here.
Hey Renee, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. It's always nice to connect with you on Mondays now. Mondays are always those days that you're like, is it Monday? It's not Thursday yet. So it's nice to be here with you on a Monday. So you're doing well?
I am doing well. I got my booster shot on Friday, so I've been managing that. Yeah, it's been it's better than getting unwell overall, so it's okay. I'm okay.
Well, I'm sending you healing and revitalization. I'm sure you're taking good care of yourself during this time.
Yes, I am.
Good. Well, I'm excited for this session because pranayama was one of those tools that I was introduced to sort of later on into my journey. You learn about asana pretty quickly. Meditation is uprising as well, and so pranayama, our breath work, I think it's getting there. It's getting there, but I love that pranayama for me particularly was one of those tools that really allowed me to. It's unlike meditation, where it's you're focusing on something, and especially useful for anyone, in my opinion, to practice pranayama if meditation you're having a tough time with it. I found it beneficial that way. So I'll put my 2 cents before I hand it over to you to say hi and to just welcome yourself here.
Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Renee. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, Anugraha Yoga TT. And again, this is our third session. I'm happy to be here, and we'll be talking about pranayama. And before we do that, for all of you coming in now or joining in on the replay after, let's just take a moment to center. So I invite you to find a comfortable seat. whatever that looks like for you today, this evening. And we can either close our eyes or take a soft gaze. And as we do so, we bring our attention to our eyes. As we close the eyes or as we take a soft gaze, and notice how the eyes are feeling. Becoming aware of the back of the eyes, of the eyelids. And gently taking your attention down into your body, observing how your body is feeling. Observing the fullness of that experience of being in body. And resting in the comfort that this space we create here tonight is a safe space for all of us to practice and to share. Gently we'll breathe out fully and deeply. Take our attention to our heart. And again, just notice what is in the space. And on our next inhale, we take our attention to our brow and observe what thoughts are present, what thoughts are in our space. On our exhale, we release any attention we are giving to any particular thing. Once more, breathing in fully and gently breathe out, release, becoming very present, very centered in our own space. And from that space, we can begin to come back, to open our eyes, and we'll begin our conversation.
Thank you. That was so beautiful. I love centering practices just before we speak about things that for wellness, it really expands you. And so thank you so much for that centering practice.
Yeah.
So Renee, tell us a little bit more about pranayama. What is it? How does it relate to yoga?
What is pranayama? Pranayama is a Sanskrit word. And it can be split two ways, prana and ayama, or prana and yama. Yeah? And prana itself is that more than breath. It is like the vital life force. Might find it referenced as subtle energy, might find it referenced as just life force, that vital energy, or comparable in a way to chi. Yeah, so that kind of, it is beyond breath, right? And then if we look at ayama, ayama means to expand, to lengthen, or to stretch. So it is inviting us to expand that dimension of prana within our bodies as we practice, yeah? If we look at the other meaning, yama in this case, because Sanskrit words, and I've been learning Sanskrit quite recently, so it's quite a lot, and I expect will continue to be quite a lot. But yama in this context means restraint or control of the breath, and so we're looking at controlling that vital energy of restraint, of learning how to manage it, to control it. So we can look at these two meanings when we think of pranayama, that it is the expansion of prana throughout the body, and it is also learning to control and to manage how the breath flows, how that subtle energy moves within all of us. And it is also, in the very first episode that we had done, I spoke a very little bit about the limbs of yoga, pranayama being the fourth limb. So it comes after we talk about yamas and niyamas, after we talk about asana. Then we begin to move into pranayama and observing how we can manage that subtle energy layer, observing how we can manage ourselves in that space. So it is a very big topic.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm curious to know, like, what in learning about it, because you've been doing it for a bit as well, and you said it came to you after your asana practice, which in a way is kind of how it is. We learn about it. So how were you introduced? What do you pick up from it?
I was actually introduced to a Western version of it. And
Okay.
so I was introduced to it from a facilitation group called Pause Breathwork. And so they introduced me to breathwork, and it was, controlled breath in a rhythmic pattern. And what I found interesting was that, where did this come from, and how did they learn all of this? So that's when I started researching a little bit more about it, and then so that's what I realized, oh, this is all part of the yoga philosophy. And so as I've been doing is I've been trying to get to the root of many of these practices. And in North America, I can speak from that perspective. It's very the Western version is very in your face, and so you have to really dig into some of these practices, these more ancient practices. And so I started doing alternate breathing from the nostrils.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's just been a really great tool for me to tap into. And one of the things that it's really brought my attention to is how I breathe. How I breathe throughout the day, and I'm sure we're going to speak to this because I would love to know some of the benefits of it, but how the breath is connected to our emotions. And so that's when it sort of took a new toll in the way that I participate in my breathing and that connection between my breath and my mind. Because I noticed, for example, when I'm angry, I'm holding my breath. I'm constrained. And so one of the practices that I started doing was noticing how my breath reacts and how it relates to the emotions that I feel. And I think that's when you start to really start to understand and get some of the benefits of practicing pranayama. So with that being said, like, what would you say are some of the benefits of pranayama?
Some of the benefits, and there are many, and one is, of course, the first one is just becoming more aware of body and becoming more aware of what's going on in the physical space, what's going on in the emotional space, what's going on in the mental space. Because your breath can tell you so much, right? As you begin to focus on it, as you say, you notice if you are, if you're tense and you're tight, if where that tension might be that you can't breathe. Some people, they hold their stomachs in so tightly, just, especially women, we are so accustomed to, sucking in the belly. That is part of it. And then when we say, okay, so you breathe into your belly, there's no kind of, we have to build that awareness of, that connection of movement, right? That connection of, if I breathe fully and deeply, my belly will move. And that is how it is supposed to be. That is what is supposed to happen, right? So one is just, it makes you so much more aware of your own space, your own presence, your being. And then it is related to heart and becoming aware of our emotions and noticing what we feel. If we are very angry or if we are very anxious, our breath is shallow. It's a very quick, very rapid, more up in the chest kind of breath. If we are very relaxed, very calm, it becomes automatically very deep, very full, more long exhales, more long inhales, that kind of thing. And we can begin to notice if we are in a space where we feel anxious or we feel angry, that we can work on the emotions by working on the breath, by saying, oh, I feel this way, let me slow down my breathing. And in doing that, you center yourself in your body, you bring yourself back. And so there have been so many studies done on breathwork and breathing and that kind of thing. And, so things like reduced anxiety, depression, stabilizing blood pressure, increasing your energy levels. And this depends too on which pranayama practice you do, because there are many different practices that you can do. And usually If you're doing an energizing practice, you practice more in the morning because you don't want to be doing that in the night when you're preparing for bed. The nighttime, you do something more quieting, more calming. So it can both increase the energy level and it can calm down the body. It can help to reduce feelings of stress, feelings of even, what was I going to say? Something with S, not stress. I think sadness. And it helps to improve our immunity in a way because we are breathing so well, because we are nourishing ourselves with, all the oxygen that we can nourish ourselves. We are giving ourselves full nourishment in that way, because when we don't breathe fully, when we are only using like a third or 2/3 of our lungs, then our blood has to work a little bit harder to get things going. We have to work a little bit more just to get what nutrients we can get from what we are intaking. When we practice, we try to build that awareness of breathing as fully as we can and noticing what comes from that. And that helps to just improve so much.
Mm-hmm. And so say someone is starting to begin pranayama and they're listening and they're very curious. Like, what would you say for any beginners? How can they begin incorporating pranayama into their wellness?
Find a teacher. But because, well, okay, so the first thing I would say, and right now, I know it's hard to get teachers. But at the same time, it's also very easy to get teachers because social media, right? So you could always reach out, you can always think. But apart from like reading it yourself in a book or looking at the video itself, you want to be able to have a conversation. And that's why I say, you should have a teacher. Because you want to say, oh, when I breathe, this feels like this. Is that okay? You want to say, oh, when I breathe, something is this, that's why you would want a teacher. But for a very beginner, with no teacher or just curious and you want to find out a bit more, the thing to do is begin to observe your own breath. To take a few moments in the beginning of the day or whenever you have time. So for me, beginning of the day, I like to midday, I like to the end of the day. I build it into my day, right? The moments when you just pause and you say, how am I breathing? What's going on with my breath? And you observe the length of your exhale. You observe the length of the pause at the end of the exhale, if there is a pause. You observe if there is an inhale, what that length is like, if it feels the same as your exhale. You observe the pause at the end of the inhale when we are full of breath. And that is the beginning, beginning to observe, how your breath flows. And as your breath flows, how your body feels. And as your breath flows, how your body feels, how is your heart, how is your mind, how is the level of energy in your body, how nourished do you feel, how active, how aware. All of this is part of it, right?
Mm-hmm. And so how do you incorporate it into your day, and like what would you recommend for anyone who's trying to, and like do you have any rhythmic practices that you would say like for a beginner they can try doing after we get off this live, for example?
I have on my channel.
On your channel.
I have in my videos. Yeah, I have awesome. In the video section of my Instagram and on my YouTube, I think.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I encourage everyone to check those out and to really to see what works for them, and to really like you sort of sometimes you feel like you have to like build a collection of knowledge before you try something new, and connecting with a facilitator like you or checking out your YouTube videos, I think is going to be a really great start. And so how do you incorporate this into your day? I'm very curious.
Well, I mean, one is that I've been doing this so long that it is now like just part of my day. I wake up and I check in with my breath and I see how am I breathing. My poor husband, I listen to him how he is breathing. So he has his own stories about that. So I check in with both of us, how we're breathing, what it sounds like, how it feels in the body. And this is before we even move out of bed, really. It is that few moments just as you wake up and as you're coming into awareness of the day, right? As you're moving away from sleep into waking, how are you feeling? And you're checking with the breath, you check in with the body, yeah? And then as I go about my day, because when I wake up and I use bathroom and all those kinds of things, I have this practice, I drink my warm water. So while I'm drinking my water, I'm also checking in and seeing how the breath flows. I have my own yoga practice on the mat, so I will do some stuff there as well. If there is a day when I don't do anything on my mat, which is going to happen for the next couple days because I am on holiday, I will just take whatever time is available. And that can be like when I'm cooking and I'm pausing in between to smell the things that I'm cooking. Or it could be, when we go out to garden and to just check in with the plants and to see, well, how is my breath flowing when I'm outdoors? It could be when I'm driving, because I really hate traffic and I get very tense, very, very tense in traffic. So then I have to check in with myself and say, oh my gosh, how is my stomach? How is my chest? How is my breathing? All of that, right? And at different times, as you say, there are different practices that we can use. And the rhythmic practice is a good one, where we say, we breathe in for maybe 3 or 4 counts. You can pause, or if you don't want to pause, if it doesn't feel comfortable, because for some it does not feel comfortable to pause or to hold the breath, then you just go again the other way, breathing out, and you start small. You start breathing out, 1, 2, 3, breathing in, 1, 2, 3. And then you build and you say, if you breathe out, 1, 2, 3, can you pause for 1? Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, and pause. And you build and you experiment and you see, what works for you in your own space. And then, before bed, it's always a good time to check in again with the breath.
I love that, how you incorporate it into pretty much your lifestyle. And it's, it's from the day that you wake up to, you're checking in throughout your activities. And I think that's a really great way to find presence in the day and to see how we're feeling. And, emotions are just sensations linked to the body. So taking that time when you're in traffic, for example, to check into your to your body and your breath it's actually quite revolutionizing once you start doing it and you start practicing it.
Yes, and this is why, like when we think about yoga is not just on the mat. Yoga is the whole, every moment of your day, you're living your practice. And this is how you do it. Every moment you are checking in, you're being aware of what's in your space. You're being aware of what's going on. You are building, seeing if, like right now, my relationship with my brother is a bit tense right now. So when I'm talking to him, oh my goodness, how is my breath?
That's like good that. Advice. That's so good advice. Like in conversations, right?
Yeah, because it really helps you to manage your space and manage yourself and just take care of yourself in these kinds of situations. And right now is definitely a very tense time for everyone. So we want to be able to nourish and take care of ourselves as much as we can.
Amazing. And so before we get into our short meditation, I just want to invite anyone that's joining us to find a comfortable space. If it's available to you, we're going to be doing a short meditation. And so before we do that, though, Renee, is there anything else around breath work, around pranayama that you want to just, offer before we begin?
And
do let us know again where we can find some of the work that you've been doing, because I think it's really important for people to find their own time to sort of sit with some of these practices.
So I guess what I would want everyone to just remember is that, we always have our breath accessible to us. So if it's one thing that you're working on, you can always be working on your breath, and it is always there to be your guide, to see how you're feeling, to notice what is there, to take you into either your body or your heart or your mind. Your breath can always take you there. And so you want to become very aware and build that relationship with your breath. And it is a relationship, as I say, we talked about in the beginning the meaning of prana being more than breath, being life force, being thing. And sometimes, like if I mentioned gardening, if you're outside with other living things, if you are with family or with pets or with plants, and you breathe, you can feel that. You can begin to feel, the energy of the space and find, how you all relate and how you connect. So I would say just practice. Sit with it, sit with your breath and see. And to remind people, on my own Instagram at Anugraha Yoga TT, in the videos section, there is a series called Breathe With Me. And there are 3 videos, 3 different types of breathing exercises that you can do. So you can follow along. I'm not sure what my YouTube has on it right now. I don't keep a good track of it. But it's the same thing at Anugraha Yoga TT on YouTube as well. Yeah. And so for those of you here, I think we move into our meditation. Yeah. So I invite you once more to come into a comfortable seat. And notice what comfortable feels like for you this evening, or whatever time you see this video. And we can begin to close our eyes or take a soft gaze. Beginning to listen to the sound of the breath. Beginning to observe what is the quality of the breath as you breathe in and as you breathe out. Beginning to observe the flow of your breath. Following the breath as it enters your body, and following the breath as it leaves your body. Focusing the mind on the sound and the feel of your breath. And as we focus our mind, we allow our minds to become quiet. If we begin to get distracted, if a thought comes up, we bring our attention back to our breath. And then beginning to go beyond the breath, noticing what is beyond our breath. allowing yourself to be present in this space. And bring ourselves back to awareness of the breath. Notice on your exhale how the body softens. And beginning to once more tune into the flow of your breathing. And as we connect to the flow of our breath, we become aware once more of our body, gently breathing out fully. And breathing in, we'll take our shoulders up to our ears. And breathe out, rolling them back. Breathing in up. And gently out, back. One more, we'll breathe in up. And breathe out, back. When we're ready, we can open our eyes fully if our eyes are closed.
I needed that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm hearing noises in the background, so I'm hoping no one else was, but that was beautiful. Thank you so much, Renee. I'm gonna get the link for your YouTube so we can put it up in our link section thing. And I think it's just been so amazing to hear from you and to be in this space with you to help us through this time. I think all of what we're talking about is so important all the time, but especially now. So I thank you so much. And if there's any last words that you wanted to say, or any last motivation for us to get into pranayama.
I think that's it. I don't know if anyone has questions. It's been quiet. But if anyone has questions or comments following the replay, please feel free to leave them or message me and we will respond. And as I said before, just begin to pay attention to your breath. And that is the first step. And you will find that it makes such a difference, just building that awareness, building that relationship to breath.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to our last session. Can you believe we have gone so quickly?
Whoa. Already, yes.
This is crazy. So our last session is about intention setting, so that's going to be a really great, relevant session as well for the upcoming new year. And again, we have some sessions that we've done already on mindfulness, meaning of yoga, and the other one is mindful cooking and food. So again, Renee, thank you
which are also on your YouTube channel, right?
Yes,
I've been sharing them as well. So yes, please, if you've missed any of it, please go back and rewatch. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for joining us. Have a good night and be well. Be well. Renee.
Be
I know
well.
you're recovering from your booster shot, so be well, okay?
Yes. Thank you.
Bye.